2 years after the passing of his wife and son, a man took a trip and unexpectedly encountered them. Upon rushing to meet his wife, she revealed a shocking truth that greatly impacted his life. For Amy, her son Max and her significant other Chester were her top priorities. They had been romantically involved for 3 years and residing together for 2 years. Despite having a child and living in the same house, Chester didn't want to tie the knot with Amy. Moreover, he often came home late and told Amy he had been working very hard to provide her and Max with the best of everything. Since Chester was staying late at work to improve the family's financial situation, Amy believed what he said and never suspected he was lying. Little did she know that she would learn a shocking truth a few years later. But for now, things were going well for all Amy knew. She felt blessed to have a beautiful son and a sweet partner. And one summer, when she finally stood before Chester and said "I do" in a quiet ceremony, she felt like the luckiest woman on the planet. Everything was going well in the newlyweds' life until Amy had to leave to visit her ill mother, taking little Max with her. Amy's mother lived a few miles away in another city, so she left in the morning after Chester left for work. Traveling with a 3-year-old boy wasn't easy, so Amy had kept snacks and toys to keep him busy. Meanwhile, Chester was at work, hoping Amy would call him after reaching her mother's place. Later that evening, Chester's phone rang, and he felt relieved to see Amy's mother's name on the screen. He breathed a sigh of relief and answered the call. "Chester, Chester, you need to come here right now," Amy's mother cried on the other end. Chester's heart skipped a beat after hearing those words. He couldn't understand why Amy's mother sounded so distraught. "What happened?" he asked. "Is everything okay?" "Amy and Max. They died," Amy's mother stammered. "Their car crashed before they could reach my house." "What?" Chester gasped. "Amy and Max? No, no, no." He ended the call and rushed to the airport to buy a ticket. Unfortunately, all flights heading to Amy's mother's city were fully booked. He bought a ticket for the next day, hoping he could see his wife and son one last time. However, when Chester reached Amy's mother's house the next day, he couldn't attend the funeral. Amy's mother told him they had already cremated Amy and Max's bodies. Chester's world had turned upside down after losing his life partner and son, but there was someone who showered him with unlimited love and affection. Cynthia, his mistress, gave him a shoulder to cry on and took care of him during the worst days of his life. Cynthia had been Chester's mistress for months, but he hid his relationship from Amy. He always told her he would return home from work because he wanted to spend time with Cynthia. Now that his wife was no more, Chester allowed Cynthia to live in his house. However, he realized his mistress was nothing like Amy. Cynthia was an outgoing person who loved parties and ran away from responsibilities. In contrast, Amy loved caring for the family and sacrificed her happiness for her loved ones.
Also, if you've not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these animal stories every day. Now, back to the story.
Soon, Chester asked Cynthia if she wanted to have children. "Honey, I have no plans of having children right now. Raising a child is a huge responsibility, and I am not ready to be a mother," she told him. Chester had no option except to accept his girlfriend's choices, so he never brought this topic up again. He lived a happy life with her until an unexpected event triggered painful memories of the past. About 2 years after Amy and Max's funeral, Cynthia told Chester she had a surprise waiting for him. She showed him flight tickets to another city when he arrived home from work. "We're going to have fun there, Chester," Cynthia exclaimed. "My friend told me about many good places to visit there." When Chester took the tickets in his hand and read the destination, he told his girlfriend he wasn't ready to go there. "You know my wife and my son were cremated in that city," he told Cynthia. "I don't have the guts to go there." "Oh, come on, sweetheart," Cynthia assured him. "I won't let you think about your past there. We'll party and have a lot of fun." Looking forward to having a good time off from work, Chester agreed to board the flight with Cynthia. However, 2 days after reaching the other city, Cynthia fell ill. "I think we need to see a doctor, honey," she told Chester. Without wasting time, Chester took her to the nearest hospital. The doctors told him to wait outside while they examined her. "I think I'll take a walk in the park," he thought, and exited the hospital. While entering the park near the hospital, he noticed a familiar woman playing with a kid. "Is that Amy?" he said and rushed towards the woman. "Oh my!" Chester exclaimed. "Amy, is that you?" Amy turned around and was shocked to see Chester standing behind her. Chester's eyes widened in shock. He couldn't believe his wife and son were still alive. "Get back!" Amy shouted. "What do you mean? What happened, Amy?" Chester asked. "I have nothing to do with you." Amy rolled her eyes. Then, Amy told him what had happened 2 years ago. She said a woman came to their house while Chester was at work and said she was his mistress. "She told me she was pregnant with your child," Amy shouted. "I tried to confront you, but you never had time to talk to me. That's when I decided to leave you." Then, Amy explained that her mother played along and lied about their death. "I couldn't let my son live with a cheater like you," she said. Chester was shocked. He had never imagined that his extramarital affair would turn into something so big. "I'm sorry," but he tried to apologize but stopped when he saw Max run towards a man saying, "Daddy, Daddy." Chester looked at the other man in shock. Amy had married another man and was living happily with him. Just then, Chester's phone rang. "Hi, Cynthia," Chester said. "Honey, where are you?" she asked. "The doctor said I'm pregnant." "You're pregnant?" "Yes, but I don't want this child," she cried. "I don't want to be a mother." 2 years ago, Cynthia fabricated a pregnancy story to tear apart Chester's family. Now, she found herself pregnant when she didn't want to be. Chester was stunned by her actions, but also believed that fate was punishing him for his betrayal of Amy. He abandoned Cynthia at the hospital and returned to his hometown to live alone.